I'll just be so I want to share my code writer screen. All right. Let me know when you see my screen, and then I will start talking. So we want to focus on developing the pseudocode. All right. And thus far, we've had, yes, thanks. We know that we have this struct, and I showed you basically how to start the pseudocode, like with the struct. So we have pseudocode here, and if it is that this is our actual program code that we did in class, okay, this is program code that we did in class. So we have the pseudocode for defining and declaring the variable for the member list for the struct here. Okay. We also declared the member list variable, right? And of course we have list index. Why is this a char for some reason? All right, hold on. For some reason this is a char. This should be an int. I don't know why I would have changed that to a char. Okay, so integer list underscore I is equal to 0. Okay, and what I have here now is the declaration of the list index variable for the member list array. Okay, the list index variable for the member list array. And so I want to display the menu and take the user option, which will call a function dependent. So this is my function declaration. All right. If I want to, I could put here function declaration, right? And so function declaration, and I'm declaring my functions pretty much in the same manner that I would have declared it here, right? If the function doesn't have any values being returned from it, I would put void here. Right, we have add member, just like the name of the function, and I'll just do 2, and it doesn't take in anything. In the case of like our search, we have integer here. So that tells me the return type, and then we have search, and it also has to take in an integer. So this is where I'm doing my function declarations here. No problem. All right. So int main would look pretty much the same as here, except because this is pseudocode and we don't really have anything returned from main, right? We could just say function main. Okay. Leave out the brackets unless it's taken in something. So you could say while, and notice that all of my keywords are capitalized. Okay, so while menu is an equal to -1, I don't have brackets inside here, right? I don't have brackets inside here. I can say clear underscore screen as a command, and at the end here I see end while. So I go back to using while and end while here, and because this function didn't have any this function did not have anything to return, I'm not putting this return statement here. I have the printf goodbye statement, so I could put print goodbye, just like I would have had in my code. And then here I would have end function. This makes sense? I'll go on to do the file read function. Okay, because I know that that's probably the function that most people are interested in finding out about how to represent. So if I have a function, right, and again the function doesn't return anything, so function read file, okay, and it doesn't take in anything, so I'm not putting anything in the brackets, and I have to get creative here because in terms of right, let me declare my character values. So I'm going to declare my character values here, right? And actually, outside of ch, the rest of these are string values. So I could just use the term string. And if I have string, I'm not putting the size of the string or indicating that they are tokens, that they are pointers. So I just say string line token. And I know that in all instances, these are strings. In the C code, we have line as a string array, a character array that will represent a string, and token is a character pointer that is an alternative way of representing a string. You all with me? You all understand what I'm doing here? So then I have to put character down here and put ch. So I've separated the single character from the string data type. Nobody is giving me feedback when I ask if you all are with me.
Yes, sir, I understand so far.
Okay, great. That makes me feel much better. Remember, you can always click on the the little thumbs up thing and give a little thumbs up. And well, for some reason, I'm not even seeing it coming up on my side. All right. Right. So the same thing needs to go on. In terms of opening, we could just say open underscore file, and name it members open file members.txt. All right. We don't have to indicate that we want to read the file or anything. Right? If you want to do that, you could even go like this, open underscore file read. And what does this tell me? The name, yeah.
What about list underscore I?
Oh, yeah. Well, yes. This underscore I is equal to 0. Okay. And this was declared, of course, way up above. So this was declared way up above. So you're not redeclaring it. It's just that you're resetting the value of list underscore I to 0. Okay. So the next thing is to say that we open the file for reading, and then we can say while, and you could say file not finished members.txt. It gives you the same, it gives you the same it gives you the same information, or it gives you the same feel of what you are doing here, right? Or actually what I had here was, I wasn't even reading the file yet. This was to check to ensure that the file existed. Okay, so you could say while, sorry, because I jumped ahead to actually reading the file. While file underscore exists for members.txt, right, is equal to false, because that's what we asked up here. That's what we asked up here. While FP is equal to null. What does this tell us? This tells us as long as the file does not exist, I want to do some actions. Okay, so I will print out here, print, and you see how consistent I am with every keyword for a function that's built in, or something that I've made up, I've put into capital letters. That makes it easy for somebody following the pseudocode to know that, okay, this is an action, or this is a keyword or something. So print, and what do I want to print? Print, this file does not exist. Do you want to create one? Yes or no? Okay, so I'll just copy that, paste that there. The next thing that we did was that we read the value into CH. So we say input CH, which should take in yes or no. And then we say if CH is equal to yes, then what do we want to do? All right, we want to close underscore file, close file, open file, create, open underscore file underscore write. All right, which should create the file. Open file write members.txt. Members.txt. All right, close file, and then do the same thing that we did here again. Open it to read. Okay, because that's what my code is saying to do right here. Else, my if and my else should have been capitalized. If else print, right? Print file could not be loaded / created, and then we exit. I'm going to put the end if here. Understand? And after that end if, we'll come one and one. So we just did over this section in pseudocode. And so what we've done is that we've done the part that assumes, okay, if the file doesn't exist, then close the file, create the file, and then reopen the file back for reading. Right? And of course, we have down here our same section. Okay, our same section, and you don't have to use tokenization. You don't have to use tokenization for this. We would see if we could work some way around tokenization. We could assume that the file was in the correct format and read directly into line by line, read directly into each section, right? So, or you could use tokenization. Either one will be fine. Actually, let's use tokenization because we declared our variables that we use for tokenization up here, right? And so let's not confuse anything. So we come here and we said if what? If ch is equal to yes, what did that mean? Right? If the file was already created before, if it was not a newly created file, right? What do we want to do? We say while the file is not finished for members.txt, okay, we want to read line from, right? So we could say line is equal to read line from file. Okay, so line is equal to read line from file tells me, okay, read one of the lines of text from the file. I don't really have to do all of this thing with the new line because that is assuming, we are assuming in terms of pseudocode. Pseudocode assumes that everything works properly because we're not actually doing it on a file. This is just saying read line from file. Okay, and we say now token is equal to tokenize line according to a comma. So this is the first token that we get from the file, right? And even if you don't want to use the token, we could actually simplify this even more, right? We could simplify this even more because we could say, we could just read it directly into where it needs to be read, okay? We could read it indirectly into where it needs to be read. So we could say list at position line underscore I dot first is equal to tokenized line is equal to tokenized line by the comma. Okay, and we continue to do this for continue to do this for every line that we have to read in the file. So list at position I dot last is equal to tokenized line by the comma. Right? Let's see. The date of birth. Right? Birthday, birth month, birth year, right? Just continue it like normal. So list that position line dot, what's the name of it? B underscore day month year. Right? B underscore day is actually going up to the slash. Okay. Now remember, this only works because we're making the assumption that, you know, this is pseudocode. So there is no, right? Yeah. And then we go back to reading the position 1 and position 2. Position 1 and position 2. And those would have been according to the comma. Yeah. So we're reading all the data here. So we simplify what we would have done here. And at the end of this, we just say line at underscore I is equal to line underscore I plus 1. So increment like we would have, and then you say end while, and you say end if, right? And then you say you do the same file close underscore file, and then you end function read file. Okay, end function name. Right, and actually you could put the word start here so that it becomes a little more apparent where you start your functions and you end the functions in pseudocode. Any questions so far? And does anyone have any questions?
No, sir.
All right. So the write file is the same thing that you would do in terms of doing the write file function, but you just say file write. Okay. And of course, the other functions are just straight up manipulation of the same structure that you would have identified here. So that's all we're doing for pseudocode in terms of this. I don't want to do much more for pseudocode because I don't, all you have to do for the file, right, is do file underscore print. And all we're asking is that for your pseudocode, however you decide to express your pseudocode, you stay consistent with expressing your pseudocode. So don't call the function print up here and then call it output down here, right? Don't use open file read or open file write in a function down here, and then use write file or read file in another function. It has to stay consistent. You all follow me in terms of being able to write out this pseudocode?
Yes, sir.
All right then. Okay. So the next thing that I want to talk to you all about is the test plan. All right. So the test plan, let me just stop output. I'm going to just give me two minutes to pull up what I need to pull up for the test plan. And I will show you all what to do for the test plan.
Excuse, sir.
Hello?
Sir, you was
Hello?
muted all the time. That was intentional.
No, I did not realize I was muted. Oh my gosh. So, all right, I'll go back through what these are. So nobody could have said something earlier. Oh my God.
So I
Right?
thought it
Well,
was
basically, you finish
intentional.
and then you ask,
No. I didn't realize I was muted. So you all didn't hear anything from like 1 to 6 or anything. So
nope.
No, sir.
wow. And I listened now for like the past 5 minutes just watching me type. All right. I see Varun typed something in the chat. But I was so busy typing away that I did not look up at the chat. Okay, that's all right. We have acceptable range, and this is for this specific test scenario. So the test itself is saying to test the menu function by placing various types of data inside of it to ensure the feeds the way. And in the event that the user enters an invalid or incorrect entry, the menu should warn the user and ask for the data to be re-entered. Okay, so for our menu, we have an acceptable range. What I was saying is that the acceptable range is not going to be, well, if it is you're testing a character field, then you're not going to have an acceptable range per se, right? You might have an acceptable data set, but you're not going to have an acceptable range for a character or a string field. All right. The variable that we working on is the choice variable, okay, which is the variable from here. This is the choice variable, the data type of that variable, and we have some categories. We have valid data, but incorrect and correct. So we have like 3 is a valid integer, 27 is a valid integer. What happens when we enter 3 is that we go to the edit member function. That's what we say happens in our expected result. And what actually happens is that the data is accepted and we go to the edit member, right? If we enter a valid incorrect number, right, then what would happen, right? What's expected to happen would be the fact that the error message comes up asking user to enter a value within the range. Okay? And what actually happens is the same. So in the case of your accepted result and the expected result and all of that, right? And let me see if I could just format this to wrap the text or whatever. Right? Text, where is it? Alignment, wrap text. Okay, all right, okay, good. So yeah, this is what I want. All right. If we enter invalid data is going to be like a H, a character H or something so. Right? A character H. What should be the expected result? We should have an error message that shows up asking the user to enter right within the range. So let's see what happens when we enter H into our menu. Right? Nothing happened there. Okay. So H, even though we have this expected result, what happened when we tested it? What was our actual? Our actual result was the system ignored the input and carried us back to the menu screen. What is boundary data? Boundary data is acceptable data on the boundary edge. So boundary data testing is to make sure that you you didn't make the mistake of saying, well, if the value is less than 6, which might exclude 6, right? Or if the value is greater than 1, which might exclude 1. So what happens when we put in the value of 6? What should happen is that the program should exit. Okay, so the program should exit. Program displays exit message and closes. And what happens when we do actually enter 6? It displays exit message and closes. All right. And our extreme value, well, in this case, we don't really have a case of an extreme value. All right. So I'm going to take that out. But like an extreme value might be for like the case of a, let me see if I can pull up an extreme value case for you. Right. It's actually kind of close to this valid incorrect data, where the value is valid, but it's much larger than it needs to be. Okay. So in this case, we don't really need to have an extreme value. So we might have to do the same thing. We would have to do the same thing. What I want for everybody's code for your test plan is that I want you all to have at least the date validation, the date of birth validation being shown inside of here. Okay. So in terms of the testing, right? And this is one test case here. I want about, let me put 4 test cases. But out of the 4 test cases, I want to have one of them for everybody where you have, once you have some date being entered, I want date validation shown. Date validation must validate the day, the month, and the year. The day, the month, and the year will be done in 3 separate tables, but that is considered one case. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
All right. So the day, the month, and the year is one case. And another place that you could validate is you could validate the menu. That's another one that I expect everybody to have. So basically, you have 2 other places that you could validate as you see fit. All right. You could choose to take create a test case for where a name is entered. So if a name is too long, if your variable for name, first name, was 10 characters long, and somebody first name have 12 characters long, then you have to show what your program does in that instance. Does your program check to see if the person enter an empty string as a name? Okay, that's a test that you have to do. Understood? And
Yes,
you're doing it based on this table. So I will send you this table as an example, and I will send you the pseudocode that I wrote up as an example now. And then we're going to take a 10-minute break, and then when we come back, we will do some Unit 1 exercises. I will go through some Unit 1 past paper questions. Okay, and we will explain from there. No problem?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right then. So we have 10 minutes break, and I'll send this stuff to you all. Bye-bye.